When was the last time you made a conscious decision to brush your teeth? Not today, not this week, probably not this year. It just happened. No decision, no effort, no thinking. And that one small thing, that automatic, effortless behavior, holds the key to understanding one of the most powerful and least talked about systems inside the human brain. Because what is happening when the brain does something without thinking is not nothing. It is the brain working at its highest level of efficiency. And once that system is understood, nothing about habits, discipline, or self-improvement looks the same again. The human brain runs on two completely different systems, and they are always competing for control of behavior. The first is the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain. It handles decision-making, planning, impulse control, and anything new or complex. It is powerful, but it is the most expensive system the brain has. The brain makes up only 2% of body weight, yet burns 20% of the body's total energy. Conscious, deliberate thinking burns the most of all. So the brain evolved a solution. The second system lives deep in the center of the brain, in a cluster of structures called the basal ganglia. This is the habit brain. Its entire job is to take behaviors that have been repeated enough times and run them automatically. No conscious thought, no deliberate effort, almost no energy cost. Every time a behavior is repeated, the brain evaluates whether it can hand it off to the automatic system. With enough repetition, it does. And once the basal ganglia takes over a behavior, it runs it like a background program, completely invisible, while the conscious brain moves on to something else. Think about learning to drive for the first time. Every action demanded complete attention. Check the mirror, signal, check the blind spot, press the clutch, find the gear, release slowly, steer, watch the road, watch the speed, all at the same time. It was overwhelming. Now think about someone who has been driving for years. They drive entire journeys and arrive without being able to recall half of it, because while the body was driving, the mind was somewhere else entirely. That is not a problem. That is the brain doing something extraordinary. It took a task that once required everything and made it invisible. Scientists call this automaticity. It is how expert musicians play faster than conscious thought would allow. How elite athletes make split-second decisions the conscious mind would never have time to process. The brain is not working less in those moments. It is working smarter. Researcher Wendy Wood at the University of Southern California spent decades studying how much of human behavior is conscious versus automatic. Her finding, roughly 43 to 45% of everything a person does every single day, is not a conscious decision. Nearly half of every day. Not the result of willpower or motivation or discipline. Just the brain running programs it built through repetition, automatically, invisibly, without permission. The morning routine that happens the same way every day. The route taken without thinking. The phone checked the moment a certain feeling arrives. None of those are decisions in the moment. They are old decisions made through repetition that the brain automated so thoroughly it no longer needs to ask. The brain builds these automated programs through a three-step loop. First, a cue, a trigger that tells the brain to run the program, a time of day, a location, an emotion, a sensation. The cue fires and the loop begins. Second, the routine, the automatic behavior run in response to that cue, no deliberation, no weighing of options, just the sequence that has been run hundreds of times before. Third, the reward, a small release of dopamine telling the brain that loop is worth keeping. And every time the reward arrives, the loop strengthens, becomes more deeply wired, more automatic, more invisible. The critical thing about this loop is this. The basal ganglia does not judge whether a habit is good or bad. It simply runs what has been repeated most. This is why someone can genuinely want to stop a habit and still find themselves doing it the moment the cue appears. Not because of weakness, because the automated loop fires faster than the conscious brain can intervene. Willpower fails not because of weakness, but because it was never the right tool for this job. Willpower draws from the same limited conscious energy system that exhausts through the day and collapses under stress, and it is always competing against an automated system that is faster, cheaper, and requires no effort at all. When tired, the automatic system wins. When stressed, the automatic system wins. When overwhelmed, the automatic system wins. Research has found that under pressure, the brain does not default to goals or intentions. It defaults to the basal ganglia, to the most repeated program available, the oldest habit, This is why habits return exactly when someone is trying hardest to change. Stress fires the basal ganglia. The old loop runs. This is not failure. This is neuroscience. The question was never how to have more willpower. The question is, how do you change what the automatic system is running? A habit cannot be deleted, but it can be redirected. Keep the cue, keep the reward, change only the routine in between. Give the same trigger a different response. Deliver a similar reward at the end. Repeat until the brain builds a new automated program over the old one. Change the environment before trying to change the behavior. Remove the cue, the loop cannot fire. Place running shoes by the door. Remove biscuits from the counter. Put the phone in a different room. Same brain. Different environment, different automated behavior, and allow for the real timeline. Research shows it takes an average of 66 days, not 21, for a new behavior to reach full automaticity. The first 2 weeks feel difficult. The first month feels inconsistent, but around week 8 to 10, something changes. The behavior begins to feel natural, effortless, because the basal ganglia has taken it over. And from that point, it runs on its own. Back to where this started, brushing teeth. Done every day without a single conscious thought. That habit was not built through discipline. It was built through repetition, until the brain automated it so completely it no longer required a decision. Every habit worth having works exactly the same way. Reading, exercise, deep work, consistency in any form, everyone begins effortful and hard. And everyone, with enough repetition and the right environment, can become as invisible and effortless as brushing teeth. The people who appear to have extraordinary discipline are not forcing themselves through each day on willpower. They built systems that their brains eventually automated. And now those things run without decision, without effort, without thought. That capacity is not special. It is a feature of every human brain that has ever existed. Nobody rises to their goals. Everyone falls to the level of their automated systems. Build better systems. Thanks for watching. Share with your friends, and subscribe for more brain videos.